Well, thank you for bringing your film to our screening series. We appreciate it, and it's interesting. You're now you're showing your film in the plastic surgery capital of the world here. I think how is Los Angeles treating you?
Well, it's treating me very well. Last night we have a tribute at the AFI Fest, and it was very important for me and for my brother, because they celebrate the creation of our production company El Deseo. So that's a good reason to be here and also to be tonight with you. Mm-hmm. So they are treating me very well. I appreciate very much.
So your production company is now 25 years old, is it?
Yes, exactly. Yes, 25 years. And it's kind of like poetic justice, because when we start doing The Low Desire, it was our first movie, everything was against us. I don't want to be like a victim. I'm not. I think life was very generous to me and to El Deseo, a production company. But really it was very, very difficult to do it. We have to struggle, because my ambition, it was not to be here. But our ambition, it was just to shoot enough to make a regular edition and to tell the story. And it's fantastic that 25 years later we can have and we can share, this celebration in the American Film Institute Festival. Mm-hmm. So it's, I got the feeling that really life is very fair and very generous, and well, of course, this is always a joy.
Right. So what attracted you to the story of the Skin I Live In?
Well, it's barely based in one book, one novel called Miguel by Thierry Jonquet. And at the beginning, I was very appealing about the revenge of the father, this awful revenge. But after, when I tried just to read the book under the point of view of making an adaptation, this is something very different. And since the very beginning, just as the protagonist is surgeon, yeah. Then a doctor that, then I thought immediately that, I thought always about the skin. The skin is the bigger organ that human beings have, and also, the face. In the past, it was the best way to identify people, but it is not here because of the advances of aesthetic surgery or no plastic surgery. But now it is not. So then I thought about the skin, and also I thought about the identity like major themes of the movie. The revenge in the movie, it was like an excuse for the mad doctor just to explore and to develop and to experiment with incredible abuse. But the experiment is something new, and of course it was a kind of abuse of power. So that all these things really appeals me a lot, but above all because we are now, the human beings, we are now facing a very special moment in our history, in the history of humanity. With all these incredible scientist advances, really our nature is a moment where it's banned to experiment with human beings, in this case transgenesis. Pero, this is very difficult for me to explain it in English, pero el ser humano la humanidad está como al borde de sí misma.
Humanity has sort of reached the limit of itself, almost.
Y yo creo que hasta ahora esto está prohibido, utilizar la transgénesis con seres humanos, pero en algún momento va a ocurrir, y eso nos pone en un estadio totalmente distinto y nuevo para la humanidad.
Yeah, and at this point, transgenesis experimentation and transgenesis is prohibited, but at some point it will happen, and it will put us in a different place as far as how we think of humanity.
But anyway, this is like a subliminal issue in the movie. For me, it was more important just to talk about identity. Identity or identity, I don't know how to pronounce it. And identity for me is something more than the genital. I think it is something inner, something that, no matter these incredible scientist advances, this is something inaccessible, something that remains in a very deep side in the human beings. And la identidad no depende de y sobrevive a todos los avances y a todos los abusos de la ciencia y de la cirugía estética.
Yes, and identity actually goes beyond or survives all the changes that advances and abuses that plastic surgery is capable of implementing.
So when I first saw the movie, I immediately thought of Eyes Without a Face.
Yes.
Was that a key influence, and were there other influences on the film in terms of other filmmakers or films?
Yeah, and it was a sort of influence. Even my movie is very different, but the only reference that I'm conscious is it was Eyes Without a Face. And when I saw, after making The Skin I Live In, when I saw the movie, the George Franju's movie, I was pretty amazed that there were really many things in common. But I remember I was very impressed when I saw it the second time, long time ago. But anyway, and I remember enough the movie. And this is something that in the movie it couldn't. This movie couldn't be made now, because now is possible just to transplant a face. Actually, in Spain is one of the pioneer countries in this kind of transplants in the face. But I also, the reference for me, it was important in the sense that I didn't want a gory movie. I tried to avoid the gory aspect of the story, and try to do something strong because the story is very extreme, but with this kind of the reference of this like black and white movie that is horror movie, but it's much more lyric, even it's gothic, but in a very lyric way. So no, for me it was the main reference, this movie that you mentioned.
Right. So you worked with Antonio very early in his career. Has he changed as an actor?
Excuse me. Antonio Banderas made his debut in one of my movies. It was my second movie, and for him was his first movie, Laberinto de Pasiones, Labyrinth of Passion. So, I don't know if he changed. No, I don't think he didn't change. I think he didn't change in a personal way, and also in the way of working with me. His career here is a kind of historic thing for the Spanish actor, because it was the first one having a career here in major movies. But I don't judge that. I was very proud that he could do that, because it was part of his dreams. What I expect, and this is what he did when he came back to my hands, and 21 years later than we should Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. What I really expected, it was just that Antonio, the same actor, in the sense that someone that it was very generous with me, and it was in the better disposition to work, and he was exactly like that. But anyway, I asked him to be in this movie just to experiment something new that we didn't make in the past. Even he was, the perfect actor just to make the crazy male character that I wrote in the 80s. But for this specific movie, I wanted and I asked him to develop something new for us. I mean, something much more austere, not someone baroque and full of expression like he is and I am. And so, I mean, I want him for his. I expected to meet the same guy, but let's say in a different tone. But we didn't experiment it in the past, and well, I'm very, very satisfied with the result.
Right. It seems like every year when they choose the foreign language submissions to the Oscars, you know, we sit back over here and think, well, they're going to choose the new Almodovar, aren't they? And they rarely seem to do it in Spain. I mean, what happens over there?
Well, well, you have to ask the member of the Spanish Academy. No, they don't do. They don't do, and you know, I'm accustomed to this. It's a weird situation for me, and also it's a question that I don't like to answer because really I prefer to respect that what they decide. I mean, to respect because in any case I cannot do anything against that, and just to wish the best result for the other movie that they select, and not to think deeply about the reasons why these things happen, because it will be in any case an ugly answer, so I prefer not to think.
Okay, well, thanks very much for your time.
Oh, thanks to you, and excuse, I apologize of my English that is worse and worse day by day.
It's a lot better than my Spanish.
Oh, well, that's true, perhaps.